Welcome to Kevin Dale Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Viltrox Z1 on-camera flash. Yes, I said Viltrox and flash in the same sentence. I'm pleased to announce the release of my Capture One and Lightroom presets, Metamorphic Portraits, The Sound of Silver, and Rangefinder. These are all available for purchase at my website. Go to kevindalephotography.com or check out a link in the description below. And now, on to today's episode. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Dale Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below. So yes, in my intro I said Viltrox made a flash, and this is a first from Viltrox, so kind of reminds me of that Godox Junior Vintage Flash that they have. It seems like this is Viltrox's take on it. And this caught me completely by surprise because Viltrox has been on such a roll with lenses and lights lately that I never had a flash on my radar. Now, the model on this is the Z1, and that's a bit weird because when I hear Z, I hear Nikon. And when Viltrox asked to send a unit out to me, I was like, hey, I want to get it for Fuji if possible. And they said, sure, we have it for Fuji. But nowhere on the box does it actually say it's for Fuji. So I was a little scared. It arrived and it had Z1 on it. And I was like, okay, is this going to work? And sure enough, it worked. I mean, it's definitely working. So that's pretty cool. They also gave me this, what I think is a diffuser. I don't know if it's a diffuser or if it is a cap for the Fresnel to protect the Fresnel. I'm going to use it as a diffuser because Fresnels tend to be kind of harsh, especially on camera. So let me give you the overview of this guy real quick. So this is it. It's an on-camera flash, a vintage look. I guess the official name for it is the Viltrox Z1 Vintage on-camera flash, but I think everyone's just going to call it the Z1. So it's pretty straightforward. You've got an on-off switch right here, and when it is on, you have your test fire button, just like that. And then over here, you've got this rotary knob. It goes between full power and 1/64th power. So I believe that's, what, 7 steps. So that's pretty cool. You've got a USB-C charging port right here. I think it only takes about 50 minutes for it to completely charge. I want to say it has like 300 or 400 full flashes before it actually needs to be recharged again. Of course, we'll go over all that in the specs. And then you've got a couple of slave modes, S1, S2. So I guess that means you can use more than one of these. I only have one, so I won't be able to put that to the test. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, it's just a Fresnel, nothing crazy. Goes on top of your hot shoe. Now you'll see I'm at full power. It's about a 3.5 second recycle time. There it is. So we'll go over that in the specs as well. But first impressions, on-camera flash, super big challenge. Probably the last place you want to put your flash. However, I love a good challenge, and for some reason in fashion these days, a lot of people like that on-camera flash look. It's kind of hip, so since I shoot models, I think I'll actually put this guy to the test on some of my projects that are upcoming. So anyway, pretty cool. I'm intrigued by it, and I want to see how this guy works out in the field. So before we do that, let's go over the specs. The Viltrox Z1 Vintage is an on-camera flash for the Fuji X-mount system. It has 7 layers of flash from full power to 1/64th power. It features a Fresnel flash head. It has a 3-way toggle that features 2 slave modes. Its flash coverage is a fixed 28 millimeters. It has a recycle time of 3.5 seconds at full power. Its color temperature is 6,500 Kelvin. At full power, it's rated at about 400 flashes. It has a USB-C port for charging and can fully charge in about 50 minutes. It has a built-in sleep mode after 15 minutes of non-use. Its dimensions are 2.6 by 1.9 by 2.9 inches or 68.5 by 50.2 by 74 millimeters. It comes in at a weight of just 4 ounces or 116 grams, and it comes in at a street price of $50 US. All right, so we're gonna take this Z1 Vintage and try to use it on my XH2. I wanna show you what you can accomplish with this guy as an on-camera flash. It's not the most ideal place, but I'm gonna do kind of some high fashion-y type looks with a model here at my studio in Austin. So let's check it out. So as you can see from these examples right here, the Fresnel that is built into this is going to give a more harsh effect, but it's a heck of a lot better than not having a flash at all. If you want to compress your dynamic range, having a flash is better than not having a flash. Now, there's a common misconception you always need to shoot portraiture with soft light. I'm here to tell you that's not true. If you want to sculpt shadows, have prominent jawlines, harsh light is actually going to do a better job there. So try this flash out and see if you can pull that off. Now, this is not the ideal place that you want to put a flash, in my opinion, but it does give you that kind of high fashion-y paparazzi look that seems to be in vogue right now. So anyway, that's an example of what you can accomplish with the Z1 here in my very echoey studio. Let's go back to my YouTube studio. So after spending some time with the Viltrox Z1 Flash, I want to share my thoughts on what I liked and what I didn't like. Let's first talk about the cons and what I didn't like. Well, one issue I ran into was the flash turning on while inside my bag. The on-off switch would occasionally get caught on my bag, and I'd find it powered on without realizing it. That's obviously a problem if you show up to an event with a battery that's already partially or fully drained. Another issue I ran into is that this Z1 uses an internal battery. While there are upsides to that, and we'll get into those later, the downside is that if it dies mid-shoot, you can't just pop in a spare. You have to go charge it via USB-C. If you need longer lasting power, your best bet is buying a second unit, and while they're affordable, carrying 2 flashes isn't exactly very convenient. Another con is that there's no clear labeling for camera compatibility. Nowhere on the unit or on the box or the included documentation does it actually say what camera system this flash is for. Unlike Godox or Profoto, who label their flashes with something like a C for Canon, an F for Fuji, an S for Sony, so on and so forth, this thing simply arrived as a Z1, and that had me wondering if it was actually made for Nikon, because Nikon uses a Z designation on their products. Thankfully, it worked perfectly fine with my Fuji XH2, but it would have been nice to have known up front that this Viltrox Z1 was made for Fuji. So Viltrox, if you're listening, I think it would be a good idea to maybe label on your boxes or your units what system it's actually for. Another con, the flash head does not tilt or swivel. A little bounce ability would have gone a long way, even if it meant a slightly higher price point. As it stands, you're stuck firing direct flash, which isn't always the most flattering option. Another con, no TTL. It's probably unrealistic to expect TTL in a $50 flash, but it's still worth noting this is strictly a manual flash. And that's really it for the cons. There weren't a lot, and considering the price of this, I don't think any of those are necessarily deal breakers. Now, let's talk about what I liked about the Z1. This flash packs a lot of power. I was able to shoot at f8 in my studio, and I think being able to shoot at f8 with a flash is a pretty good indicator that the flash is pretty bright. Another pro is that it has intuitive controls. The knobs and the switches are large, they're tactile, they're perfect for beginners learning the ropes of flash photography. So despite the drawback of the internal battery, there are some upsides. USB-C is the standard, it's everywhere. I actually drained the battery on this guy and plugged it into my car as I drove to my shoot, and it was charging the flash. So you don't have to worry about proprietary chargers, proprietary batteries. If this goes to end of life down the road, you don't have to go hunt on eBay for any wall warts or any batteries that may not exist anymore. So USB-C, I'm also gonna go ahead and put that under the pros. And on that subject, it has incredibly fast charging. It charges, I think, from 0 to 100% in just 50 minutes, which is impressive for any flash, to be honest, not just a flash in this price range. The slave mode is actually pretty awesome. The Z1 can be used as a slave flash. I tested it out as a rim light along my much more expensive Profoto B10 as a key light. It held its own, it gave great light quality, it was responsive, and it was totally usable in a professional setup, even though I don't consider this a professional flash. Another pro of this guy is that it's lightweight and durable. It's so light you barely notice it on your camera. I actually dropped it multiple times on my concrete studio floor, and it kept working without a hitch. Despite its plasticky build and faux leather top, it's surprisingly tough. I also like the fact that this has a low profile on my camera. A low profile means less stress and risk of bumping into things. I think it's a smart design choice, especially for mirrorless users. If you think about something like a speed light, it puts a ton of pressure on that hot shoe. This low profile and lighter weight is gonna put less pressure on your hot shoe, and so it's not gonna, over time, damage your camera. It came with what I think is a diffuser. It didn't tell me what this was in the documentation, but I just assumed that because it was somewhat transparent and cloudy that it was a diffuser. I also use this guy as a protector for the Fresnel, so even though I don't know exactly what this is for, I think I figured out what this is for, and it's giving me the dual purpose of being both a diffuser and a protector of the Fresnel. I like it, so I'm gonna put it under the pros. And then maybe to the biggest pro, at just $50, the Z1 offers an unbeatable value. Most flashes in this category cost at least twice as much. Its closest competitor, the Godox Lux Junior Retro, is $70 and requires AAA batteries. The Z1's performance and price make it stand out. So let's wrap this up with my final thoughts. I don't consider the Z1 a professional grade flash. The lack of articulation, TTL, and modifier compatibility make it clear that this flash is geared toward beginners, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're someone who wants to fill in shadows, balance exposure, and start learning flash photography in manual mode, the Z1 is a solid pick. It's for those moments where you want to maintain background highlights without letting your subject fall into shadow. And for $50, it gets the job done really well. For beginners and budget-conscious shooters, the Viltrox Z1 is a fantastic learning tool and an excellent value. And as someone who likes to see competition in the camera world, I certainly hope Viltrox is going to build on this flash and give us more offerings in the future. That does it for today's episode. What do you think about this $50 Viltrox Z1 Vintage Flash? Do you think it's going to be useful for your camera rig? Do you think you need something that has more of an articulating head? Tell me about that in the comments below. And if you're a fan of this channel, I humbly ask you to click the subscribe button below. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.